that Marvel vs. Capcom 4 leak might be true. Let's get into it. My name is SHINTONE, and welcome to Fighting Facts, the real facts where we break down news, speculation, rumors, and more fighting game related. And today, I would like to express my thoughts and also give you my breakdown and analysis of whether or not the current leak is true. Now, you may have heard of this particular leak. I am going to be talking about what I've heard before and all the rumors leading up to this to determine whether or not there even is a Marvel vs. Capcom 4 in the making. Let's get into it. But before we go ahead and get into that roster, we need to understand the leak as a whole first. So let's go ahead and read that leak. Well, the leak originated from a Reddit page called Gaming Leaks and Rumors. Now, I'm not on Reddit at all, and I'm better for it, really. Who the hell wants to go on Reddit? Oh boy, I'm gonna get people mad at me right now for that shit, but I don't care. Anyway, let's go ahead and read it from top to bottom. Then I'll showcase to you guys the roster in my graphic display, and we'll go from there. Okay, so the title states, Marvel vs. Capcom 4 in the works. It's not far along in development, so some of the subject to change. It's not far along in development, so some of this is subject to change. It's currently slated to release late 2024. Marvel vs. Capcom 4 is the final name, and the logo pays homage to the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 logo. The game graphics are similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but still different. There are 21 characters from Marvel and 21 from Capcom. This is currently the planned roster, but don't be surprised if some of these characters are cut and included as DLC. Taking a look at the Marvel side, roll call please, and at this point I will be showing the roster on screen. Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, Hulk, Thor, Mr. Fantastic, Daredevil, Black Panther, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, Deadpool, Juggernaut, Magneto, Venom, Red Skull, Loki, Doctor Doom, and Thanos. Going on to the Capcom side of the roster, we got Ryu, Luke, Chun-Li, Juri, Mega Man, Zero, Sigma, Leon, Nemesis, Morgan, Felicia, Dante, V, Strider Hiryu, Grandmaster Mia, Monster Hunter, Asura, Hagar, Arthur, Akira, and Phoenix Wright. 12 new characters, 30 returning, assuming that they all make the base roster. At least 2 seasons of DLC are planned, but I don't know how many characters it will be. Disney wasn't huge on making a new MVC, but eventually agreed they're going for a more modern street vibe or whatever similar to Street Fighter 6. I've heard that Capcom has reached out to Arc System Works to help with the project as well. From the jump. And first things foremost, as I show you guys the roster on screen and I give you my thoughts, I'm going to address this leak as an entire leak, like I've said. And to be fairly honest with you, it sounds like a bunch of bull. It really does. There is a few red flags. First and foremost, this guy knows the entire roster, but he doesn't know if their characters are going to be DLC or not. That doesn't make much of any sense here. So you're going to tell me you know that there's going to be 21 characters, but you don't know who's going to be cut into DLC. Now, it can make sense, but it also doesn't make sense. Secondly, He states the theme is they're going for a modern street vibe or whatever similar to Street Fighter 6. Now this sounds incredibly lazy and it doesn't make any sense, especially when he said something about the graphics earlier. And he said how the graphics are going to be similar to Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Now, this is something that people often do all the time, and I'm about to mention what that is. They get confused with the art style and graphics. Graphics are the textures, the lighting, the draw distance in a game. And of course he says, but still different, and that could sound like a lazy little thing to add in a leak too. It doesn't quite make any sense. If a person talking about the leak, he would be more specific to it being how different it could be. And I believe that this does not give credibility to this leak whatsoever. Now, besides those two red flags, there are other potential red flags that doesn't quite add up. However, I'd like to clarify a few things while we talk about these next few potential red flags as well. He also states near the end of the sentence that Capcom has reached out to Arc System Works to help out with the project, but the interesting thing is he doesn't say how or what part they actually play in this. Now, people will see this and say that is bullcrap. Capcom wouldn't do this. Now, I'd like to inform you guys that Capcom and Arc System Works have worked on a game together before, and that game is Sengoku Basara X. This is a fighting game that came out in the arcades around April 2008 and released to the PlayStation 2 around 2008 as well, and around June of that time. And Arc System Works helped develop that game when it came to the fighting game aspect and the art style and graphics of that thing. So their relationship actually goes far back as 2008. Street Fighter 6 has been worked on in-house at Capcom using the RE engine. If Capcom were to reach out to Arc System Works for a help with another game, it wouldn't be entirely out of possibility. However, I highly doubt that they would ask for Arc System Works unless the art style and graphics will be more in line to what Arc System Works have been doing in Guilty Gear and BlazBlue of the Sword. This means this whole thing about game graphics being similar to that of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 seems to be a bit odd, because if Arc System Works were to help out, most likely they would have a hand in making it in their shell shaded style when it comes to how they make fighting games usually. Overall, this leak is quite messy and a bit amateurish, but there's a flip side to this coin, you see. It could all just be disinformation here and there from a Capcom developer trying to gain hype for the next Marvel vs. Capcom. Now, we'll entertain that, right? And as we do, I like to talk about the previous leaks that I've heard very briefly. Alright, so the first one was of the V actor. That's the one that started the whole thing a few years ago, talking about how excited he is for the next Capcom game versus Capcom game. Very interesting stuff. Now, surprisingly, if this guy, whoever who made this current leak, he is definitely aware of the past leaks, especially the one with V in it. So V's on a roster to give his more a little bit validity to it. Secondly, the second one is a bit more complex, and this one I won't say his name. I heard from a famous FGC person who plays the villain role, you could say. I've heard this from this person a few years ago when they were on Twitch, and I was just listening to the conversation. This person has said that he had a friend who has worked in Capcom, and this person that I'm talking about has shilled Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite before, and the reason why I'm not bringing up that name is because I don't want to get nobody in trouble, you know, with this information, because it sounds pretty legit. He has at the time been friends with the person who was working with Capcom, and has stated that at the time they were working on models and moves. If this is a few years back, probably about a good 2 years ago, models and moves on a Marvel vs. Capcom, talking with Marvel, saying that if things don't work out, they'll just make it a Capcom All-Star game, and that's pretty much all there is to that. Now that sounds pretty reasonable, but that does kind of clash, but not really, with the information of this current leak saying that it's not far along in development and it's coming out by 2024 next year. Now that in itself is kind of weird, because that wouldn't make much of any sense, but let's just say you can mix all these leaks together and say that Marvel vs. Capcom 4 has been in the development hell behind the scenes for many years. And let's just entertain that, right? What do you feel when you see this roster? How do you feel when you look at it? Well, I've heard people say it's plain, it's basic, it's very familiar. Just like the voice actor for V said, this roster is a very familiar roster. The returning X-Men, the standard Captain America, Iron Man, Hulk, Spider-Man. What a few little new, different, yet familiar. Just about everybody has been playable in a Marvel vs. Capcom game before. Let's take a look. Well, not take a look, but take a thought about Marvel and how it's been doing these last few years. After Endgame and right after Endgame, it's been going on a downhill spiral when it comes to its public perception about its content. Whether you like Wakanda Forever or Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantum Mania, Baloney 3, whatever it's called. Try not to curse, you could probably tell. Whatever you personally think about it, you can't deny that its quality has been dramatically decreasing over time. On the flip side, Capcom has only been going up, Malvo. It's only been going up, making that paper. Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 8, doing numbers. Resident Evil, Street Fighter 6 on its way ever since they did the reveal last year. Been doing very good. Rumors of a new Power Stone, rumors of new interest in IPs, reintroducing the retro games in official ways. Sounds like Capcom's on the rise, man. So remember in that leak where Disney said they didn't really want to do a versus Capcom. With the current state of Marvel and the current state of Capcom, it's starting to look like that Marvel may be needing Capcom more than Capcom needs Marvel. I'm just saying. They're doing in public perception may have just recently, since we, like I said, entertaining the idea that this game's been in development hell, said, you know what, remember that Marvel vs. Capcom game we had? Let's go ahead and focus on that, put that in development, push that, release that next year. We've been holding off on it, but we kind of are needing Capcom's collaboration and start a plan to turn our public perception around. I'm just saying. And so, before we end off on this note, could be true. It could not be. All I know is if it's coming out next year in 2024, we're probably going to get an announcement this year in one of the FGC events. Either at EVO, maybe summer, whatever it may be. We'll know soon enough. As far as these blocks here, this is what I think. Blue will be season 1. Orange will be season 2. Let me know, without changing the characters that's supposedly supposed to be in base, what characters you will add in season 1 and season 2 of Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Also the black boxes as well. There seem to be short of the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 roster, which is also a bit skeptical as well, because these are the exact same slots as the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 roster, and the leaker could have just built this little fake fairy tale off that. Or it could be that a Marvel, or it could be a Marvel worker too, employee doing this thing as well, or it could be a Capcom developer. Who's to say? Doing this slight disinformation to get the ball rolling a little bit. Anyway, my name is SHINTONE. Guys, stay tuned for more news, discussions about rumors, leaks, and speculations, and how-tos, and more fighting game goodness. Until the next confirmation, I'll be seeing ya. Peace.